Oh, we'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Appreciate you being.
I forgot about that.
It's all good. We live in a desert. We're going to get a little desert inside the sanctuary. We want to continue a lesson that we started last month, and we had kind of a bigger storm come through than we anticipated, and we got a little off base there. So we want to kind of continue that lesson, and then if we have time, I want to introduce our second lesson that we want to go into. And the reason I want to kind of merge these two is because this month has a lesson that's kind of merged a little bit into next month, but hopefully we'll get back on track in March because this month is a short month. One of the things I want to significantly think about is our ability to ask the question, does God hear us? In a world where we have a lot of different religions, and Christianity is no different. We have a new brand of Christianity coming out every single week or month, it seems like. And so sometimes we can ask the question is like, where is God really working? Where is God really real? Where does he move? And so this month we challenged ourselves to make a list of beginning of the year, New Year resolution kind of an idea, but it's also not just a list. Now, I didn't say, let's make a list. This year, I asked us to do something else on top of making a list. I said, let's make a list of what we want God to do for us, and we're making a second list. Does anybody remember what that second list I want to add next to our list of God's requests? So remember yes, JR?
What you can do for God.
Yes. What are we gonna do? So if we might say, God, I really need a car. I just really need that to happen. That's what we put down on our list. Next to that, we might say, well, God, on top of my action, is I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna help my neighbor wash their car every other week or every weekend. I'm making this up, but we're gonna do a positive action. We're gonna seek in our hearts what we can do for God that will allow us to have a powerful position that we really want in our actions. I want to see if that changes our list this year, where it's not just like, this is what God has done for me this year. It's like, this is the actions that went along with my prayer request. I feel like in a world of American culture, sometimes we get distracted by asking, and we don't take the time. We don't take the time to think about what we can give. And so I want to help us, because sometimes this might be hard, this might be challenging. So I want to think about things you can do for God, because I talk to young people often. They go, I don't know what I can do for God. I mean, I don't have a car. I don't have money. What can I do for God? What could I do once a week, every month for God, that at the end of this year, you will find yourself in a better place, and God will have a more active servant for him. So the question I have for us is, we have our list. I'm not asking you to reveal right now your list. I'm not necessarily asking you to reveal what you wrote down as your action. But I want us to kind of collectively as a room decide upon actions we can do for God on a weekly and daily basis that have deep spiritual impact on this congregation here in Baldy Mesa. All right, so the question I have is, what can you do for God? Even the lesson's titled is, Does God Hear You? Because God doesn't just hear you praying, he also hears and sees your actions. So some people say, I'm a Christian, and their actions are not saying Christian. Some people might not say it out loud, they're Christians, but their actions speak louder than their actual words. And so we want to talk about actions. So we'll start with this room here. I'm going to have a little list here. We're trying to get 10 things you can do for God, right? 10 things you can do for God daily, weekly, monthly, even maybe once a year. What are things you can do for God? It can be small, it can be big, but actions you can do daily for God. Yes?
Well, for me, I believe that it's not even possible for me to know in this time, in this life, in this body, as compared to the afterlife, all that God has in store for me. But, I believe, I believe that it's the Father's will that we become spiritually mature. And so often I remember that that's, no matter what, I may not have the money or energy for our time for this, that, or other thing I see, although, in the moment I can
can you give me an example of how you could work on yourself?
Oh, well, shoot.
This is like one example.
Um, remembering to remember God.
Mm, excellent one. Remembering
More and more and more
God.
every day.
Beautiful. JR?
Remember to pray.
Remember to pray. So I'll put prayer, my shorthand, and I'll put remember. Tajan.
Can you repeat your question?
The question is, we have a list of things that we want God to do for us. We're created a list of 10 right here of things we want to do for God. Actions we can do every day, weekly, that we're not already doing, and maybe something we're already doing, but we want to put a list of 10 things that we could do for God that will change. If we say, you say, my action for God is to get some food, and every day of this entire year, I'm going to give somebody that's in need of food. We'll go find some at Walmart. I'm going to go to one of the places where kind of the people that need food are kind of hanging out. I'm going to give somebody food, one person every day for the year in God's name. That's an action. So the list we're trying to come up with is 10 things that we as a congregation could do, not necessarily have to, but could do. And if we did it as an experiment, how that would change our landscape in our spiritual practice.
Have the courage to gracefully, with grace, help other people to recognize their mistakes.
Ooh, human connection,
With grace,
grace,
kindness and
kindness.
not just blowing it by being clumsy.
Yeah. So grace and kindness, telling people their mistakes.
Well, yeah, telling them the mistakes or asking them if maybe they're not a mistake, but asking them if they think maybe they've made a mistake.
Yeah, so
You don't want to be judgmental,
exactly.
and if you tell them, they take it maybe true, but they might take it judgmentally.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
But you're using the grace and kindness to tell people difficult things, we'll say.
Ask them, don't they think that as a member of the community, they could do better, or
Yeah.
do they, asking them if they recognize the error of their ways?
Yeah. It's kind of a kind, soft critique. This is an art form. This is we're black belting it today. These aren't easy things to do, but this is a tool we can use. Yes, Tajiana.
For as a church, I say like continue to connect with the youth more.
Connect.
Not only just on Sunday, but like throughout, if possible, throughout the week, and as well as making it known to them that you're there.
Mm.
And like I remember I was in 7th grade, I think 7th or 8th grade, where we started the prayer line for the youth,
Mm.
and that was really helpful.
So a connection point for the youth daily. For those just joining us, we're making a list of things we can do for God. This is the last lesson in the series of what I can do. What God does God hear you? And we put together a list of what we want God to do for us. And now we put together a list that go with that list of what we can do for God daily or weekly or monthly throughout the year. That end of this year we'll check in and said, I went out and I gave one meal to someone that needed food every day this year. This is what God has blessed me with at the end of this year. This is what I've earned. I'm making it as an example. It's not on our list. So we're making a list of 10. We're at 6 right now of things that we can do for God daily, weekly. It could be something that we're already doing, something that we are looking to do, or something we just thought would be good to do, to put out into the list. So what could we do for God daily, weekly, monthly, for the rest of this year? So come at the end of the year, we go, wow, I did that. This is what I noticed that God blessed me with. This is what I noticed about the experience.
Like Mother Miles used to say, she lived to be over 100. She said, I traveled on my knees.
Yes, I think JR said prayer.
Mm-hmm.
It's number 3.
So we
And he
can
says,
find-
remember to prayer is the exact phrase that JR used. Yes, Keziah.
Giving thanks.
Ooh, giving thanks. I'm looking at some lists. Giving thanks.
Amen.
And those that are watching online, feel free to participate. I can see your posts. So if you have something you could add to this list, we want to hear it. So we're watching you. Feel free to jump in there.
Giving thanks is like, if I can add on to that,
Yeah.
it's like the opposite of holding on to anger,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
which is such a spirit poison.
hmm
Can't give thanks and hold on to anger.
So true. Well said. It's a nice rich. This is good. So we have 7, 8, 9, 10. 3 more things that we could do for God.
Sometimes it's good to have focused prayer.
So I'm gonna add to this prayer one.
Yeah.
Focused.
It may be that instead of just praying general prayers, which are appropriate and
Mhm.
good, you might have focused. You remember, well, I've preached it, but I read it too, or maybe I read it then preached it. Reader's Digest many years ago, that without telling the patients, several persons had focused prayer on specific patients in a hospital. And then they surveyed them after the prayer period had ended. And all of them had, I guess, measurably improved, even though they didn't know they were being focused on with prayer. It was significant compared to other patients.
Yeah.
So focused
So focused prayer does matter. Any other ones? We have 3 more to go.
And that reminds me of the teaching along the same lines about how if you pray for someone and you let them know you're praying for them, that takes it a step further,
Yeah.
beyond that experiment.
It does.
Yes.
Any other ideas?
Yeah, several people came to me when I was so ill, and probably the first time I was out of my wheelchair, I can't remember, but they said, Sister Alice, we prayed for you. Did they say every service, but they had a consistent interval? And I said, I believe it, because considering how sick I was, and when I turned the corner, I realized it was answered to prayer.
Yes. What can we do for God? Daily, weekly, monthly. I'd say giving of an object or a thing or a service. So giving thanks is a thing you can give. It's a mindset, but you also can give food. You can give a ride. You can help someone have transportation. You gotta do that safely. I don't want to pick up anybody on the street, but you can find out a way you can help someone get to and fro to the store. So I'll say giving services like food and other traveling support. So I'll say giving of food. And services. So now we have 8, 9, and 10.
Alicia said something.
Yes.
Change up your devotion.
Change up your devotion. Look at that one. Change up your devotion.
Oh, okay.
All right. We have 9 and 10.
Wait a minute now.
Oh, what's the change up?
What's the change?
All those examples.
I have 3 examples of a change up on your devotion.
Okay.
Add your devotion to your workout.
Add your devotion to your workout.
So that when you work out, you pray, you work out, and if you listen to music while you pray, instead listen to the Bible. If you listen to music while you work out, listen to the Bible on your earphones.
The Bible app.
Bible app on your earphones when you work out. And so, like, for example, if you take the Bible app and put your earphones in there, and you say, I'm going to do this workout it's playing 119 Psalms is the longest chapter in the book of the Bible.
Oh, yes.
And it has 157 verses.
Wow.
So, can you finish, how much of your workout can you finish before the 157 verses of the Bible are read in your headphones.
It just gives you a picture, huh? I mean, something tangible you can look at.
Yes. And another change is to use the audio Bible app, because I have the app. If you don't have the app, I can share the app with you. And it has the whole Bible audio. And so you say, I'm going to read this portion of the Bible, then you put it on the audio and say how much you're going to listen to it. And it's a really good recording on the app that I have. And when I do it, they have like different characters reading all the different parts, and it kind of makes the Bible a little more alive.
Well, it helps you visualize it.
Yeah, it helps
It's
you
alive,
visualize
it
it.
just helps you visualize it more correctly.
Do you know that off the top of your head?
The app, it's a King James, the picture, because it's just a King James Bible app, but I can show you the picture of the app, so you know which one to get. Because if you download King James Bible apps,
There's multiple,
there's like 20 of them.
but this one is very
But this
good.
is a specific one, and I can show it to you on my phone before I go.
I get the phone out in the car.
Okay, well, at the end of service, you can,
And then the other change up is change the time that you start your devotion. Just change it to a different time. So that
or you can add another one.
or you can add another one. But when you change up your devotion, it makes you hyper aware of where it is.
Yes, that is true.
So changing up.
Cool. So if you get the app, we have a request online and know what the app's called. So
Yeah, I'll get it.
we want to know what the app is. So we have 8, 9, and 10. 2 more things of what we can do for God. So we're really good at asking God, heal me from sickness. God, bless me with a companion. God. So we want to know what we can do for God. So we have 2 more things to put on this list of things that we can do this year, daily, weekly, monthly, that will have. It can be small. I don't just think these are all huge. I mean, Brother Vaughn and all you guys getting some heavy stuff here, but let's take the time to think 2 more things that we can do tonight, tomorrow, this week, that we can continue to do it for at least a year and check in and say, this is what it is. This is how it's impacted. What are things we can do? I can read over the list, make sure we don't repeat ourselves. Spiritually mature. We can focus on our spiritual maturity with Brother Vaughn. Remembering God. Another one from Brother Vaughn. Not getting too caught up in our daily lives and our responsibilities. Remembering God. And prayer. Remembering to pray. This is JR. Focused prayers. This is Mommy. And we have grace and kindness. This is Brother Vaughn again. Grace and kindness to tell people critiques and help them understand their challenges through grace and kindness. Giving thanks. This is number 6. Giving of services, of food, rides, support around cleaning someone's house. Giving of services is kind of a big one. And change of the devotion. Lisa gave us 3 examples of we can change our devotion. Working out while we have our devotion, and changing the time, adding time to it, time of day. So maybe you always have devotion in the morning, maybe you have it at night and in the morning. So there's dynamic ways to kind of create an environment for yourself to have a devotion. Now we're at 9 and 10. We have 2 more left. And those are online. If you can think of things that you can do, I'll read your best I can. I'll read your comments to see if you can think of things you can do or we can do and add to this list daily, weekly, or monthly. Any one of those variety of those things that we can do that add value to service to God. Yes, Mommy.
Those that are married, I learned this from my oldest sister. How long was Aunt Juanita married? Did she reach 50 years? I can't remember. But anyway, she taught me to pray regularly for my husband and not to entertain negative thoughts. In other words, because thoughts are organic, they'll grow. And that may be something divine God can give anyone that is married, husbands and wives. She said to pray regularly.
Pray regularly for your companion and to
Have,
not harbor or cultivate negative thoughts
that's it.
for your companion. So we have one last, number 10.
And
The
just
10th thing we can do
this is
Record
not a
pain.
last thing, but I'd like to share it. When my husband had a major challenge on his job to the point they were trying, actually the foreman told him, it'll just take me a week and a half or 10 days to fire you. So I felt it was a call to prayer, and I don't know whether any of the people that do it now are aware of this. I was the one, to my knowledge, that coined the behavior of praying every hour on the hour, no matter where I was, what I was doing, that the Lord would break the power of this situation, which he did. But I've heard many people since then say, I'm praying every hour on the hour, but that's where it began. And the Lord broke it in such a way that it was noticeable that the Lord had a hand in it. And he broke it in such a way that I asked the Lord to bless the entire plant. And I've never, of course, I haven't been there now, but for years before and after, he came in and said, okay, anyone that has so many, what do you call them, marks on against you, we're going to take the points against you, we're going to take those off, whoever it is. He didn't want to come to my husband and say, you didn't deserve those, I'll take them off. So he took them off of everybody.
Yeah.
But that was the prayer after praying every hour on the hour. It was answered prayer that everyone that had a penalty was blessed. So that's just coupled with sometimes how we pray, can pray.
Yes. Amen. All right. Number 10, the last thing we're going to talk about tonight of what we can do for God for this year. The last thing. Oh, we got two hands at the same time. Okay, let's go to JR, then we'll go to Alicia.
Bring someone to Christ that don't know him.
Bring someone to Christ.
Mine was kind of related. Saying bring somebody to church.
Bring somebody to church.
Excellent, excellent.
Now, I want to spend some time, I'm going to go backwards on this list, is that this is where we make mistakes sometimes as a congregation about bringing someone to church as an activity, is that coming to church can be a situation where you go to someone and say, hey, do you want to come to my church? They go, no, I don't want to, or yes, I'll come. But there's another way to invite people, and this is the way I recommend we invite people, and I kind of want us to really kind of internalize this practice, is that the invitation, Alicia teaches a very beautiful lesson to my state choir when I was directing the state choir. She said, when you're going to go out and announce a song in front of the audience, your performance starts in your seat or in your where you're standing in the choir. So you aren't standing in the choir and your head's down and you're like picking your nose and it's like it's time for you to speak and you walk out there and you go, and we're going to announce the song. We have to be standing up straight, anticipating our ability to go out and reach out to the audience and announce the song. And I think inviting someone to church could be modeling that same kind of a model. Sometimes we're rude to people in the store. I'm not saying we're all this way, but we could be rude to somebody. We cut somebody off. We pull into the gas station. The guy says, I want you to invite them to church. You go, I'll just cut them off. I don't know how they're going to respond now because I've been so rude to them.
Yes.
And guys, I was intending to invite them the entire time. Maybe you should have cut them off, right? I'm using this as kind of a play thing, but it could be very serious in the spirit of understanding your invitation is not just when you ask them to come.
Yes.
Sometimes you work with this person for 10 years and you've never asked them, but you've been gracious. You've been modeling good behavior. You've been yelled at by the superior. They watched you handle it well. And you're always helping them when they can. And all of a sudden you just kind of say in the passing, you want to come to church? Yes. They've been watching the entire time.
Yes.
I'm not saying you do good things and anticipating to invite them. It's that you live a life in that I am going to invite someone to church well before I actually say the words, do you want to come to my church? I'm inviting them by how I talk to them, by how I handle difficult situations, how I handle my sickness, how I pray for them consistently, how I communicate, how I model how my children are raised, right? I'm raising these dynamic, powerful children. That has an impact on who you invite. And that's the power of invitation. So I think what JR and Alicia said is a perfect number 10.
Yes.
And in the context of if we did that thinking and action every single day. Now, I'm not saying every single day you find someone, but every single day you're actively noticing.
You're actively keeping yourself ready to invite
Ready?
someone.
Thank you. That's a better way to say it. We're constantly keeping ourselves ready to invite. Now, we are never caught up in numbers. What we're caught up on is doing God's will. And God's will is for us to go out and to spread the word
Yes.
on the highways, to the prisons, to let people know what's happening and what can be given. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be saying it. You are saying it with your words, with your actions, from your seat. You're inviting people. And if you kind of analyze yourself, reevaluate your spiritual practice, I could do better in certain situations. I was at a stoplight just the other day, and I was in a right-hand turn lane, and there was 3 cars in front of me and a car behind me, and I look at my rear mirror, and I see the guy moving his hands, he's like punching the air, and I'm thinking, is he having a seizure back there? What's happening? And he's mouthing, I can't understand what he's saying. I look back, and then finally, when the car in front of me finally turned, he honks his horn. Like, honking his horn, like maybe he's in trouble. And the light's red, but the guy in front of me is not turned on red yet. And this guy's literally having almost a seizure
Oh, wow.
because the guy won't turn fast enough on red, right on red. And I thought, imagine if I got out of the car and we passed him, he goes, you want to come to my church? I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm going anywhere with you. You know what I'm saying? You were ready to lose everything for not turning right on red on time. Well, he had no clue I saw him. And I may never see him again. But I'm not saying that we all have the situation we think, no one's watching me. I'm going to sit in my car and punch the air and yell, that's okay. And we didn't know that someone's watching us. And all of a sudden, it's time for us to work for God, and we're hindering God's work.
Oh, Lord.
And so we don't know if it's someone in the cashier gives you a little too much money, or if someone needs a little extra money on our food or something, we can reach out. We don't know who we're talking to, how God's going to work. So we understand that God's work is much bigger. So our actions must be in that context. So let's keep that in mind. We are out of time, but I want to kind of wrap up this lesson by saying that I hope that your lists are created for this month. This is the last time we're going to talk about this. And I hope that we can go into the next year with a list of what we want God to do for us, because we know God hears us, and a list of what we're going to do for God, because he also hears that as well. And yes, Ataja.
Oh, I was just seeing if you can repeat the list one more time.
Yes. And now I want to say this is listed. You don't have to necessarily do this list. These are just kind of ideas, right? So I'm not saying, all right, Tasha, I want you to do number 1, then you do number 2. Make your list of this inspiration. So I'll read through the list.
They're good ideas.
But I think it's a good list. So the first is to be spiritually mature. This is the black belt move from Brother Vaughn of really understanding that being spiritually mature is something we have to work on daily, hourly, and that's our goal in our practice. Remembering God. Now this is important. I think the scripture talks about this. Is that there's a scripture that talks about a period of time when we are living busy lives. We're making money and marrying people and having children and raising children and all these things happen. Let us not forget God. And let's not be having Nebo effects. You know about Nebo effect? You know about the Nebo effects? We had a dog named Nebo, got in a fight, and this dog doesn't sit. He doesn't listen half the time. Got in a fight and tore his head wide open.
He was real big.
And all of a sudden, his ear was hanging off. But I'm telling you, that dog could hear so much better when he was hurting. You whisper his name, he'd come over and sit down, get his treatment for his wound, and he was just the most quiet. And you could tell he was getting better because as he got better and healed, the harder he could hear. He was like, I don't know. He's calling me. I don't want to listen anymore. And as he got, you know, he's completely healed, but he wouldn't even get up when you called him. He was like, oh, I'm fine. Oh, he's better. He's not even moving. He got to put his head, look at you like, it's hot. I ain't moving. I'm saying, I don't move if it's hot. Right? So we don't want to be a Nebo effect. We don't want a situation where we get tore up a little bit and we're like, I can hear God every moment. Oh, yes. And then as God bless us with abundance, we church, is that today? Is it already Sunday? Wednesday night? I have to go? And then God, you're fighting for something, you're there early, right? You're early on prayer meetings. So we want to make sure that we're consistent in remembering God. I think Brother Vaughn said that too. And Brother JR said prayer and remembering to pray. And this kind of fits right on with that one. And at least Mommy said focused prayer.
What number is this?
This is number 3.
Okay.
And number 4 is grace and kindness. This is Brother Vaughn again, turning it up in here. Grace and kindness in sharing critiques and challenging about helping people improve their behavior around you with grace and kindness. And that actually attaches itself to our number 10 about inviting somebody. If you're using grace and kindness when you have to critique someone or remind someone that owe you $1,000, when you do that with grace and kindness, it goes a long ways if weeks and months later you invite them to church because you communicated with grace and kindness. Yes, Tajana.
Alright, what if they like get on the most like defensive side?
If they get offended at anything?
Yeah.
You know, what's interesting is that when you deal with humans that hurt humans is that you're not necessarily going to be able to you can be grace and kind, and they're going to be upset no matter what. But the important thing is that your heart is in the right place, and that your prayer and your focus is not abrupt with them. No matter how hard they escalate, you keep your heart in a kind and focused space. So when Jesus was caught in the garden by these guards, they're going to take him away to crucify him, and they were going to cause conflict, right? And what happened was even his disciples like, well, this is what we do. They're going to come after us. Pulls out a sword and chops off the soldier's ear, right? And I've been wondering for years, like, how do you chop off someone's ear? And I have theories that when he saw the sword coming in, the soldier turned his head, trying not to get his head chopped off, and he had his helmet, and the helmet, you know, see his helmet come down, metal each side of his ear? Yeah. The blade skipped across and sliced off his ear. That's my theory. I have no idea actually what happened, but that's my theory. So his ear comes off, and Jesus should have been like, that's what you get for trying to arrest me. And what did Jesus do? He reaches down and heals the guy that's trying to kill him. And the guy still takes him away. But it didn't stop Jesus' heart from being in the right place. I'm going to help him anyway. And that's the spirit we have, is that we might have to heal somebody that's coming after us. It doesn't feel human, it doesn't feel natural, but that's a way, even though they might be aggressive, even though they might continue on with their aggressive activity, that we hold fast to our positive spirit. Does that make sense? All right, so then we're going to go on. Oh, did I answer your question, Tatiana? Okay. We're going through. Number 5. Connect with the youth. Oh, skip that one last time. This is Tatiana's. She said, connect with the youth, not just on Sunday, but throughout the week. This is huge. Connect with the youth. Now, I will say that some of us were youth, and now we're young adults. So now that you guys know what you needed when you were young, you now have the privilege to now reduplicate or create a different story.
Yes.
You'll see, huh? Aaron made it look easy. I'm joking. It was a pleasure to do it.
Amen.
But you have a really good point. That's number 5.
Absolutely.
And I love how Tatiana says throughout the week, not just on Sunday. How you doing? How old are you? Who are your folks? What's your name?
Oh, that's part of it.
Not just that moment, but the other times when it's like throughout the week, you call them, text them, Instagram, Facebook them, send them videos, send them money they need, so whatever needs to connect with them. Going down number 6, giving thanks. I'm not sure who said that. I can't remember who said giving thanks. That was a good one. Do you guys remember who said giving thanks? And then we had one that said giving food or services. That was me. So you can give something practical. You know, if you have extra dollars, make a meal and serve it to someone that's in need. It could be someone that either is a money issue or someone that's just not able to cook for themselves. The number 8 is change your devotion. That was authored by Alicia, and she had 3 dynamic options. Have devotion while you work out. Change the time of day or add a time that you have devotion. What was the third one?
Add the audio.
Add the audio, yes.
Which is part of change.
Which is part of the change, okay. And then we have bring someone to Christ. I think JR said that one. And bring someone to church. Those are synonymous with each other in a lot of ways. So just remember both of those. So that's our 10, which kind of sets us up for a completion of this lesson. I hope that we can execute on something. I'm going to take from this list, maybe add a couple of things that I'm going to try and do. Yes, Brother Vaughn.
And there was that, someone was sharing about how if you give thoughts energy, they can grow.
Yes.
And not cultivating bad thoughts.
Oh, thank you. My mother, that was part of number 9, pray for your companion and not cultivate negative thoughts. Man, somebody's taking notes up here. Left his phone in the car, so I'm here to participate. Thank you, Brother Vaughn. Catching me on my slip on that. That's a very important one. And being married for 4 years and some change, I will say this is something that's really powerful because the devil and people that the devil's working with will oftentimes encourage you to talk negative about your companion, to kind of be negative about this idea because it's kind of what culture is kind of easy to do that. And I think to not perpetuate or to cultivate negative thoughts to your companion and to pray for them regularly is a simple but lethal positive thing you can do for your relationship. And I would even add to that, if I can, and say that you can also pray for your companion if you're not married to them. If you're just dating them or courting them or ready, start the prayer early. Start the foundation of how you, because I find that what you do when you're dating and courting, when you want to use the words, whatever you do in that stage, it bleeds into your marriage. That's the foundation. People are like, I'm just dating, so I'm going to treat them any kind of way. You know, all of a sudden, marrying them, you're like, I wish I would have kind of didn't treat them any kind of way because now we're married and they're used to this and now they're treating me any kind of way and now we're just, you know. And that's why people in the course make a lot of money. So that's wrapping up our lesson for Does God Hear Us? And we want to find out. We're going to check in 6 months and see how we're doing. We might go through our list if you're comfortable sharing and say, what have we done? And then we're going to go back and finish that up at the end of the year. We'll check it out one last time in December and say, how has God worked for us? And how we worked for God. All right, that's our lesson for today. We're over our 30 minutes, but I thought it'd be important to make sure we put this lesson into perspective for us and wrap it up completely, because last month was kind of a on-the-go kind of thing. I'm going to cover everything we had. The next lesson we're going to jump into, I just want to mention the title, is, I'm excited about this. It was like the first lesson of the year outside of our traditional one. If I can find it, it's called One Step to Glory. One Step to Glory. What is that about? I'll say briefly that we're closer to heaven than we think. That's my tagline
I
for it.
agree.
One Step to Glory. Just let us give testimony. I'm going to cut off our internet. Thank you all that have been live streaming with us.
Wait, somebody on there wanted.
Oh, someone here wanted the app. Actually, we can just go on and comment on it after and just add it in the comments.
Okay, I can say what it is.
Or just say what it is so we can put it on there.
T
T-Carta
Carta Bible app.
Bible
I'll
app.
spell it.
T-E-C-A-R-T-A
T-A
Bible.
Bible. Perfect.